Good afternoon, everyone. This is Perry Mixter with Power to Give here in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's great to be with you this afternoon and certainly appreciate your time to take out of your busy schedule. Know it's a busy time of year for a lot of folks, especially those of us in the Arts Council world, but also for those of us in presenting. We're in the process of getting a lot of things going. So we really appreciate your time with us this afternoon. I hope it will be time well spent. This webinar usually lasts between 45 minutes and an hour, so we hope that we'll get you in and out of here quickly, but we do want to make sure that we cover all the bases for you. It's interesting seeing the poll results that I just posted, that 90% of you either have not or are not sure that you've tried crowdfunding before. So we're really glad you're with us today. Power to Give is a great opportunity for you, and we hope that by the end of this session, you'll see how easy it is to use and to manage. So with that, let's see if I can get my machine working here. We're going to start in by talking about the agenda. We're really going to really quickly give you a review of how Power to Give came to be, where we are now. But we're going to quickly move to the whole process of posting projects and the activities that it takes to do that. And also we'll talk to you about how to market your projects successfully in your community. Now, this webinar you are in listen only mode, so I can't hear anyone, which is a little odd, to be honest with you. I'd much rather have some feedback, but have we do have the capability of you asking questions as we go through. So if you do have questions for me, I'll be pausing periodically to check the question box to see who's got questions we can answer. Please don't hesitate. Don't be shy. There's no such thing as a dumb question. So I will be glad to handle that with you. So let's get started. Really, Power to Give came to be several years ago. We're now in our third year of operation. Back in 2009, 2010, here in Charlotte, as you can imagine, there was a huge economic downturn with the essential implosion of the financial markets. We had a huge upheaval here in Charlotte with the banks, who are major supporters of the Arts and Science Council, and workplace giving dramatically declined over the course of 2 years. So the leadership here looked at how they could generate additional revenue, and they started looking at the statistics for contributors and supporters of the arts organizations here in Charlotte, and quickly came to realize that 85% of those patrons, those folks who buy tickets, who attend events, 85% are not donors. They are not writing a charitable contribution check to that organization on a regular basis. So very quickly it became clear that there was this huge untapped market that was there that could be tapped into. Secondly, research here, at least in Charlotte, showed that through interviews that donors would give more if they had more information on how the funds would be used. And in the Arts Council world, this is particularly challenging because, as you can imagine, the arts councils of the country really like to have the annual fund. And when I write a check to the annual fund, I don't necessarily know where specifically that funding is going. So a lot of donors really like to have more specificity as to where their gifts are being implemented. And the third component, from a statistical standpoint, is the huge increase in online giving over the course of the past 4 to 5 years. People are much more comfortable using their credit card and having an internet transaction, and so we want to make sure that the philanthropic area has the capability of taking advantage of that trend as well. Power to Give is a very simple structure. Basically, it is hosted by a local site. We have 20 right now. We have 20 sites around the country, and so you're listening to me because you are affiliated in some way with one of those sites, and they host it in the local community. So they set up Power to Give for you. They promote the Power to Give platform, and the you as a site user, is the term we use, a site user would create and post a project and promote that project to your donors, who then make contributions through Power to Give, and that funding eventually comes back to you. So it's a great circular pattern where you will be able to enjoy that kind of support. And again, it's project based. Power to Give is completely project based. We like to think of Power to Give as a cultural marketplace where donors can take a look at all the projects that are out there in the marketplace and find out what they can get support of, what they can support throughout the community. So that is essentially how it works in each community. Again, it's community based. Although we are a national organization, we don't have a national Power to Give site. Everything is local. The site really is designed for both fundraising and marketing, and it is designed for us to help you, to provide you with the training you need to utilize it to the maximum capability. The thing that we're very pleased with over the course of the last few years is that the percentage of first-time donors has remained very high. 44% of the folks who make contributions through the Power to Give platform are first-time donors to the organizations that they are providing that support to. And that really is a testament to the capability of Power to Give to use social media to spread the word about your project. So you may have someone who's a big fan of yours make a contribution, and then he or she will post that information and spread the word to all of his or her friends who may not be affiliated with you. So we really see that kind of viral communication taking place on a number of levels. Power to Give also, in all markets, has the capability of providing matching funds. So the local site host organization, the Arts Council, that is the sponsor for Power to Give, will be securing matching funds. You, as an individual organization, can also bring matching funds to your projects, and we can talk a little bit about that down the road. But it really is a great incentive for patrons to see that their monies are going to be matched on a regular basis. Just checking to see if we've got any questions. Not seeing any at this point. And finally, the other differentiation between Power to Give and sites like Kickstarter or Indiegogo is that we have gift card functionality, both physical gift cards in most of our sites, and then virtual gift cards in all sites, so that donors can go on and purchase a gift card for one of their friends, and that information is sent by email or by physical card, and that person can make those contributions in the cultural community. As of today, we are live in 21 communities around the country. We've raised $4.7+ million for arts and cultural projects. We're very pleased with that statistic. That represents over 21,000 donations to almost 2,000 projects. So in the course of 2 years, we've seen a huge growth in Power to Give, and we see this continuing on into the future. We think this is going to be a really viable option for most communities. Now, it's not going to replace fundraising. It's not going to replace ticket sales, but this is yet another revenue stream, another quiver in our toolbox, or in our sack of arrows that we can use to get funding for our concerts and our events. And again, Power to Give is based on projects, usually valued of $10,000 or less, and we'll go into this in just a second. See, we have a question from Lydia. Whoops. Lydia, I'm sorry. Please repost your question. I accidentally deleted it. So please repost that one. I'll get right back to you. This is our coverage map right now, and you are most likely in one of these lovely green shaded states. And you can see that we're rapidly expanding. We're going to be unveiling new sites in Oklahoma, Tampa, and Dayton in the next 30 to 60 days. So that's moving along very nicely. So when we talk about Power to Give, we want to really have you start thinking right now, what would be a potential project? And we first posed the question is, if you think about what you're doing as an organization, what would you want to give to as an individual? What what is it in your organization that's really very exciting about what you're doing in the community? What's compelling? What's impactful? These Power to Give activities need to be project based, so they need to have a start time and an end time. Um, and they need to be, and again, this is varies from site to site, but projects are generally from $500 to $10,000. Now, unless you have a couple of big donors lined up, $10,000 is a lot of money to raise on Power to Give. And if you're new to this, and it looks like about 90% of you are, we encourage you to start out on the small side. Start with $1,000, $2,000 project, and work hard to get that funded, and then build from there. So think about things that you're currently doing that you could define as a project. I think one of the slides, I may be getting ahead of myself, but we really encourage you. Doesn't mean you have to create something new. If you've got existing budget that you need to have budget relief for, we encourage you to look at your current activities and pick out something that you could get funded on Power to Give without having to change your budget. It's just another way of funding. Lydia is asking, could you please explain in more detail how the matching giving works? Yeah, it's really great because either the Arts Council that sponsors your site or your organization can post matching funds to your projects. And we can talk about the mechanisms of that. But basically, if the Arts Council secures funding, you would get notice that that funding is available. And sometimes the funding is for unrestricted. Sometimes that funding is for just arts education. Sometimes it's just for a particular discipline. So it really varies, but you'll be notified. And on the project dashboard, we'll show you how you can keep track of that. But basically, the matching gifts are applied in real time so that when I make a contribution to a project, that matching fund is applied immediately when I make my gift. So it's in real time. And we'll show you how that works as we go through the process. Hope that answers your question, Lydia, and hopefully what I show you in the next couple minutes, you'll understand it. So the right projects, budget relieving activities, no problem there. We encourage you to find to pull out things that you're already doing, but you can also work on new initiatives, or if you have an existing program that you want to expand, that would be great. Um, in all cases, you can put programmatic funding costs, equipment, scholarships. There really are very little restrictions to what you can have funded. I think the key is, what will your donors get excited about? Um, we've had a couple of organizations here in Charlotte pick very mundane things, and they've sold the heck out of them in a very creative way. We had a theater company who wanted to have a vacuum cleaner, who needed a vacuum cleaner, so they've made a very clever little campaign, and they pitched it and got it funded right away. Another company needed a new roof, so they took a video of one of the actors on stage with an umbrella with rain pouring down. So again, it's all a matter of how you present the project. You can make it, it could be for something really mundane, or it could be something really innovative. And so it really is up to you as to how you want to utilize Power to Give. In terms of posting logistics, if you're listening to this broadcast, you are most likely eligible. But again, if you have any questions about that, you can contact your local organization and they can tell you. I'll give you a list of those sites at the end of this presentation. The way we fund Power to Give is that administrative fees are assigned to every contribution, and this varies from site to site. We have from 10 to 12%, but the majority of sites are now at the 12% range. So when I make a gift of $100 on Power to Give to your project, you're going to get $88. And that is how we fund Power to Give. Now, we encourage you to include the administrative fee in your budget. So if you need $1,000, you need to augment your budget by that 12% need. And actually, if you do the math, it's I think the exact number is 13.61%. So if you did if you needed $1,000 and you posted a project for $1,361, take the 12% off, you're going to get the $1,000. So I hope that is clear as to how you can have the donors pay for your administrative costs. And we have not had any issues related to any donor concerns about that. All donors that we talk to view it as a convenience fee, and they're happy to do that. Let me just pause. There's some questions coming online, which look like they're right in what we're talking about here. Uh, Delaire Rowe asks, can you use Power to Give to fund the same project annually, or do you recommend new projects? You can do the same project annually. I think that's a matter of discussion between you and your site host. I think if you've got the folks that fund something and you can do it annually, I don't think there's nothing to restrict you from doing that. We would just want to make sure that again that project is compelling, but there's no rule against it. Russell Gottschalk, love that last name, Russell. Is this an all or nothing platform like Kickstarter? That's a really good question. This is also different from Kickstarter because whatever you raise, you keep. So if you have a $5,000 project and you raise $1,250, you're going to get $1,250 less the administrative fee. So yeah, that's great. Will this PowerPoint be available to us? Of course it will. I will figure out a way to get it to you or post it online and give you a link at some point. I've got all your email addresses and we'll get this to you so you can take a look at it. We also have, Caitlin, we also have a YouTube channel where you can watch these videos again. If there's somebody on your staff that needs to see it, you can watch the whole webinar from start to finish. Not that anybody would want to, right? So going back to the questions or the logistics, Power to Give, each project has a 90-day time frame. So once you start posting the project, the clock is ticking. Not your project has a 90-day shelf life. If you get it funded before the 90 days, fully funded, it'll come off the system and you're good to go. But if you don't receive full funding, it'll expire at the end of 90 days. You receive those funds regardless of whether you reach that 100% in project funding. And if you don't succeed with, let's say you only raise 5% of your funds, it is up to you to contact the donors who did support it, to contact them and talk about what you're going to do with those funds, whether you can go ahead with the project or whether you're going to redirect it in some other way. We really encourage you to think through your projects and think through how you're going to promote them, and that really keeps the success rate high. So we hope that there won't be too many of those where you have just a single-digit percentage of success. The great thing about Power to Give is through the project dashboard, all of the information from the donors is instantaneously available to you to use. We hope that you would incorporate these donors into your database and use them as as future prospective donors. There is a logistical thing that you all need to understand, and that is when a donor makes a gift to the Power to Give system, technically their gift, their contribution goes to the host organization. In other words, if you're in Columbus, Ohio, and somebody makes a gift on that in that area, the funding's going to be received by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, and they will be the charity of record, and they will handle all of the tax reporting information. So you don't have to worry about that in terms of Power to Give. They will then turn around and send you the funds. So basically, it is a restricted grant that the donors are directing to your project. So from a technical standpoint, these are not your donors, but from a practical standpoint, they are your donors because the site host organization is not going to be actively soliciting them for additional funds. They really, I think everybody on the system feels very strongly that these are your donors and they should be yours to manage. Now they may be giving to multiple organizations, in which case they may have multiple organizations that will be considering donors. But really, they are for you to use and to develop those relationships. So that's just a brief overview. I want to really quickly show you two different views of Power to Give. First of all, from the donor's perspective, how easy it is to make a contribution, and then we'll talk about your experience and walking you through the registration and posting process. So we're going to switch screens here and run over to our project listing. And we're going to, from a Power to Give standpoint, if we go to the home page for Power to Give, this is the national homepage, and I hesitate to show this to you because the vast majority of people aren't going to come this way, but this is to show you kind of the bigger picture. If you want to select a state, we're going to select, let's say we want to go to Kentucky, so select Kentucky, and choose the Kentucky and Southern Indiana project, the project page, and then we're going to click on Give. So this will direct us specifically to Kentucky's listings. It'll only show us those. Every Power to Give project listing page is like the one you're seeing right now, with the identifier in the upper right-hand corner as to where you are. The projects are listed 5 to a page, and so if there are more than 5 projects in that site, there are multiple pages. So each project has a summary blue bar. You have the photo, title. You have how many days of life are left on this project. So in this case, this particular project at the top has 29 days to go. They have raised 87% of their $10,000 budget, and they have $1,300 left to go. And you can also see in this white box in the center that there's a matching fund available for this project. So that gives the viewer a very concise summary of what's going on. You can also click on these tabs and you can sort the projects in different ways. So there are different ways of showing. Again, this is the most recent, so this is the one that's the newest project on Power to Give. Donors can also see if they're only interested in theater, they can select different categories. So if, for instance, if a donor is only interested in music, they can select the music category and update the results. And that will show us all of the music-related projects in Kentucky. Take a minute for it to refresh. There you go. So there's all of our projects related to music in Kentucky. Going to click it back on percent completed so we can see which one is at the top. You can also, if we scroll down here, you can also select organizations by name. So if I'm really passionate about a particular organization, let's say I want to see everything with Historic Locust Grove, I can update the results and just see those projects. Now, most organizations have just one project. There are some that have several, and again, that's a policy that is determined by the local site administrator. I believe in Kentucky, it's one at a time. So you can very quickly come down, and you can also do a keyword search. So let's say I wanted to type in, I really love ballet. I could type in ballet, and that would show me all those results. But in which case, we're going to go back to the main screen. And we'll take a look here. So let's say I'm scrolling down here and I really like the SkyPack Youth Theater. This looks really interesting to me. The Secret Garden, I love the Secret Garden. So I'm going to click on the Give and Learn More button as a donor. And this is going to give me more information about this project. So again, it's the same kind of blue bar, only larger. But there is a project narrative on the left, which talks about what this project is all about and what I'm supporting. So that is a free-form text box that each project has, and donor benefits. When I give a contribution, what can I expect to receive? And these are all things that you'll be managing as part of your project posting. In this case, I really like this project, so I'm going to give a grand total of $5 because I happen to have a $5 gift card burning a hole in my wallet. So I'm going to add that to my giving cart. And Power to Give operates much like Amazon, where you can give to multiple projects before completing a transaction. What happens is the next screen shows a summary of the donation that I have selected. And in this case, it's very important to see that I have my donation of $5. My gift is going to be matched by this sponsor, which is the Kentucky Arts Council, so that my effective donation is $10. Now, I'm not going to get a tax credit contribution or record for $10. I get the $5, but effectively this organization is going to be receiving $10. The other thing that happens down here is that there are 3 recommended additional projects, and these are based on discipline. Either if this organization had additional projects, they would be listed here. But in most cases, organizations only have one project. So this will list other theater-related projects. So those are some things. So you can continue to shop and add to your giving cart. and that would be done by Keep Giving. In this case, I want to complete my donation, and this is going to take me to the transaction screen where I, as a donor, I'm going to fill all this in. Bear with me just one second. And in my email, and I'm going to do a gift card. So I'm going to select that option, and hopefully my computer has remembered my gift card number. And I'm going to say no because I've done this a lot, but this is where the donor can opt out of news from Power to Give. That doesn't mean they're opting out from your communications. It's just from Power to Give. So that gives them the opt out. And also, I want to make sure that you see this is where the donor sees that 12% of each gift goes to cover. So there's full disclosure about the 12%. So I'm happy with all this. I'm going to hit complete donation. It's going to give me a confirmation page before I submit. Make sure everything's right. It's not complete until I hit submit my gifts, which I'm going to do. And let's see what's going on here. Let's see, there we go. So now what happens if all goes well? I get a contribution, I get an acknowledgement here. Thank you for your support of arts and culture. And you can see here the social media opportunities. This is where donors can select, if they select the email icon, there is a pre-populated email template where they can type in the names of friends and colleagues, and it pre-populates the email with the information on the project. So that's very easy to do. If I hit the Facebook page, it's going to open a new tab in my Facebook, which I have loaded on my computer, and it will automatically create a timeline posting that I can add to on, and I can share this on my timeline. You can notice that it has the icon or the image from the project, and if my friends see this, if they can just go ahead and click on that, and it'll go right to that project. So all these social media functions, and again, Twitter is there as well. Now, what also happens if I go back to my email address, if I go to my email account, I'm going to check in what I have received here is an acknowledgement that I have made a contribution to this project. And this is a real brief acknowledgement from the Kentucky Power to Give organization, which is the the Fund for the Arts in Louisville. And also, information is shared with the person who is at SkyPack, who is managing Power to Give. So they have just received notification that I've made this gift, and so that prompts them to send me a little personal note or whatever they want to do. So there's all sorts of automatically built-in notifications in the system. Now, I've covered a lot of ground since I last answered questions, so let's just see if there's some other ones. Russell asks, can you set up a project to go for less than 90 days? Yes, it will default to 90 days, but if you want to have a shorter campaign, that is certainly your decision to make. Are matches applied to the donation after the administrative expenses are taken out, or are they applied to the gross donation? This depends on site to site, but the vast majority of sites apply them as they're applied to the gross donation. So the 12% is taken out of both the donor side and the matching fund. So there are a few exceptions, but you'll be able to talk to your administrator to see how it works in your area. So that is the donor experience, and I hope that was a fairly clear. You can see now we came at it via a very different way because the vast majority of your donors are going to come through a URL that is specific for your organization. So they're not going to have to click through the Kentucky site. They're not going to have to click through the local host site. We're going to provide you with a URL that is completely and totally points to your projects and will as a permanent link. So I want to kind of go to that point now and talk to you about what it's like as a site user and how to post projects. And to do that, I'm going to run over to the Charlotte site, which is here. Every site at the bottom of the page, there is a create and manage projects link. And this is how you're going to access, uh, and you want to make sure you're in the right, you're on the right site. You don't want to be, if you're in Columbus, you don't want to be posting in Seattle. So make sure you're in the right location before you hit this button. But if to access your account, you're going to hit the create and manage projects link, and this is going to take you to your logon page. Now, I'm not going to go through the registration process, but I'm just going to show you if you haven't registered yet and your organization is not registered, this is where you would click on this little register link, and this takes you to a form that you fill in, basically provide all this information. It has email address, all the basic stuff. It sets up your account. Most sites are going to ask you for your charitable solicitation license. Now, this does vary from area to area. But most charitable organizations require some sort of solicitation license from the state, and this is where you would enter that information. When you register for the first time, you're also going to want to either select your company from, if your company's already online, you can select it from here, but if your company's not, you're going to want to hit add a new company. And this is going to give you an additional little bit of information to fill out. Okay. So again, that's a one-time process, and once you're done, you don't have to do this anymore. It's just the first time you do it. So we're going to run back to the previous, let's see if I can get back to the previous page. Whoops. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, so I'm going to log in because I already have an account. I'm going to go ahead and log in. And this will take me to my project dashboard page. And when you register, every user will have the equivalent of this, this project dashboard. And this is how you manage your projects on Power to Give. It's very similar to what the public sees, but you see some additional things. The first thing you see is this right here, your permanent link, permanent URL for all your active projects. Each organization is going to have a unique URL that looks like this, and basically this is the URL that you should embed in all of your communications for your projects, all of your emails. You can embed it into your website, and really you can, if you want to shorten that that URL, you can go to Bitly or and a tiny URL and create a different one. But basically, that is that URL is always going to point to your project. So that will prevent your donors from having to do all that searching that we did in my demonstration. So that's really important. On the left-hand side, there is a green box which summarizes all of the matching funds that are available to you in your market. Here in Charlotte, we have 5 corporate matching funds. You can see that some of them are for general purposes. There's the second one there is just for one organization. They brought some funding to the table, as is the fourth one. But we have a Leon Levine Foundation fund, which has $12,000 left on it, and we have a new unrestricted matching fund, which we just implemented the other day, which has a lot of money still left on it. So you don't have to contact your site administrator to find out how much money is left. You'll be able to see that right there. So all of the projects that I have created over time are here. Some of these are demonstrations and some are actual. But as you go through time, you're going to be able to see all of your projects listed here. The main navigation component is up here in the upper right-hand corner, where you can see your login name. And if you click here, you can obtain information about different things. And I remember I mentioned donor reports. This is where you would select the reports for current or past projects. So if I want to run a report for this particular project, let's just see if we can, let me go back to the dashboard and make sure I have one that has some activity. Just give me 1 second. We'll go to a day in the living laboratory. And what this will do when you click on this, when you run a report, it'll download a spreadsheet. I'm going to click on donor report there, and that's going to download to my download folder. And this is what we call a CSV file. which opens up in Excel. And this shows me a list of all the folks that gave to this particular project. This one only had 2 donors, but it gives you the information on the project. And if we scroll across here, it's going to show you how much the donors gave, what their name, their address, city, state, zip, phone number, and email, and whether or not they want to be contacted by Power to Give. So you'll get all that information and you can access that at any time. So that's a really great feature of Power to Give. But in this case, let me just pause here and see if we have any questions. Looks like we're doing okay on the questions, but let me go back and show you how easy it is to create a new project. And this is where you're going to pull down here to create a new project. And what this is basically provides you a form that you will fill out and complete. And it's very similar to what the public sees, but this is an editable form for you. Now, every one of these entry points has a little eye, a little blue eye, and we just added these. That's why the green thing to the right is kind of off to the side. These actually replace the green box there, help box. Each one of these, if you click on them, they have a suggestion. So if you're new to Power to Give and want to walk through it, this basically is a self-training. Talks about how to create a great title. Talks about best practices. So we encourage you, for the first time when you post a project, click on these blue information buttons and you'll get a lot of information. But in this case, we're going to say we want to create, let's say we want to do summer scholarships. And again, I'm not going to get into too creative here because we're just going to show you the functionality, and that we want to do $3,000. I'm going to want this to start, the posting date I want to start pretty soon, but let's say February 3rd. And you'll see that when I do that, it's going to automatically populate the end date to be May 4th. That's 90 days. So you don't, if you're happy with 90 days, you don't need to change that. If you want to go shorter, you can change the date. Now, the project start date is when the project actually happens. And we encourage you to have this start date to be after the end of the posting date. From an ethical standpoint, you shouldn't be raising money during the time you're actually putting the show on or the event on. So in this case, I'm going to say June 1st, and the project's going to run through the end of the summer. So we'll say September. This is for my dance program, so I'm going to hit dance. I'm going to say this is for education. And so you select the characteristics by which people can find your project. So that's an important thing. The photo is important and is absolutely mandatory. So you need to select a photo from your photo library on your computer. And let me see if I can find one here. We're just going to upload this picture of a nice theater. You can also, we encourage you very much to have a video, and this is where you would copy and paste in the YouTube URL for your video. That's easily done. We only use YouTube right now. We're not doing Vimeo or anything else, so it needs to be on YouTube. Scrolling down here, these are the text entry boxes for the project narrative. And we're going to type in a bunch there. And then the donor benefits. This is where you would type in that information. So those are the 3 places you're going to be entering, actually 2. And then you've got the project notes, and this is back channel communication between you and the site administrator. If you have questions, if they have questions, this is where they will that will appear. So this is kind of a back channel place for you to post questions for the site administrator. So at the bottom, you have 3 options. You can cancel, which loses all your information. You can hit save, which most people do the first time out. So because you want to start something, but you want to come back to it after you've gotten more information. So you're going to hit save. And when that happens, your project will then appear on your dashboard at the, I guess at the bottom. Actually, it's going to be at the end here, eh? So we're going to scroll down to that, and it will appear on your dashboard with an editable you'll see it has the only one that you can edit here is this summer scholarship. So that you will be able to manage until you submit the project and have it approved. You can always edit it, but after it's approved and posted, you won't be able to do that. So hitting the edit, if I hit the edit, that goes back to the screen, and I can make more changes and so on and so forth. When I'm ready to submit the project, this is very important. There's this link right here, and this is the terms and conditions that you are, as an organization, are agreeing to when you post this project. You won't be able to submit your project without scrolling down to the bottom of this and hitting accept. Now, every site has slightly different terms and conditions, it's a lot of boilerplate generic stuff. But I encourage you to read that to make sure you're comfortable with the agreement that you're making with your partner there in your community. Again, but very important that you hit I accept, and then when you're ready to submit, then you hit the submit button, and that triggers a message that goes to your host organization for them to review the project. There will be a period of time that they will take to review the project. Usually it's 3 to 5 business days. And then they will get back to you with any comments or suggestions on how to improve the project. And once they do that and you've updated it and reviewed it some more, then you can go ahead, they can say approve, and then it appears on Power to Give. So it's important to know that there is a period of time from the time you are finished with it and submit it. You need to give the site administrator, the site host, time to review it. They're not going to talk too much about the content. The project itself is not so much the issue, but it's how you write the text. And we're going to talk about some of those issues, how you write the narrative so you can make it effective. Let me pause here and see if there are any other questions. Let me see, there are a few. Jessica DeMaria asks, in terms of matching organizations, are they automatically assigned to our projects or do we select them? That again, it's not automatic. The site administrator will assign the matches to projects, and will probably be in touch with you as to the eligibility for your project. So you just need to, again, that's a case-by-case basis. But let's say if you have an unrestricted fund that's available in your market, they'll automatically assign that to your project. If your project is for equipment and they have a matching fund just for arts education that doesn't include equipment, then you wouldn't be eligible. So again, you're going to have to figure that out with your site administrator. You can always request it when you post the project. In that project notes, you can say, I'd like the XYZ match to go to my project, and they'll get back to you whether that's possible or not. Delaire Rowe asks, if you post the same project more than once on your dashboard, how do you delete the unused projects? Well, we hope you won't have any unused projects. The site administrator can delete projects, but you are unable to do so. So again, the projects do accumulate over time. We generally don't encourage folks to delete projects because we want to keep a record of that activity, even if it's the same project. So again, it shouldn't be too much of I don't think that should be too much of an issue for anybody. So that's the posting process. I hope I've explained it pretty simply. It's not complicated. This is not intended to be like a grant submission. Really, it's intended for you to be able to go on, post your project, tell your story, and get the word out. So I'll be happy to, if you have other questions about the posting process, please ask those as we go through. But that's the long and the short of posting projects. Let's go back now and talk a little bit more about how you tell your story. And we've done this. We've had Power to Give going for 2 years now, and the longer we're at it, the more we're convinced that this is not so much posting projects, which is certainly important, but it's really telling a story. I think crowdfunding in general is most effective when you are telling a compelling story. So we encourage you, if you're new to this is not like writing a grant application. This is not, we need money. This is not, please fund our project. This really should be more about, let us tell you how we're going to change lives in our community. Let us get you excited about what we're doing. So we, through all of our communications, urge you to think about telling a story more than you are writing a grant request. The title and the photo, and I can't overestimate how important the video is. The video doesn't have to be professional quality. It just needs to tell the story. But the title and photo really are very important. They're the first impressions of your project. It gets people curious. We have found that the use of humor in Power to Give is very, very effective. So have fun with this. This is not serious. It doesn't necessarily need to be serious. Um, you want it to be seen and felt. You want people to be um, moved by what they're reading. Now, that's really hard to do on a computer screen. So we're not saying it's easy, but writing that narrative is really, really critical. And you need to think about it from the perspective of how you would talk to your neighbor across the backyard fence. How would you tell them your story? You're not writing an application to a foundation. Um, we want you to keep your title and your story short, to keep it simple. You are writing for the web, so brevity is very key. Think about writing it in the first person. We see very effective narratives coming to us when we see someone writing on behalf of a child whose life has been changed, telling the story from their eyes. Those kind of perspectives in the narrative are very, very effective. So don't fall victim to the curse of knowledge. Don't be using a lot of grant speak. Remember, you're talking to individual donors. Encourage you to think about telling the key ingredients. You know, what when you make your own charitable decisions, what do you think of? What does the organization need? How are they going to use that money? How is it going to make a difference? Um, the narrative also should very much include a 3 to 5 line, very simple budget. If you need $10,000, or let's say you need $5,000, be specific. Tell them that you need, you know, you need $1,000 for salaries, $1,000 for marketing. We want to buy equipment. Be very specific, and then also include that Power to Give fee as part of that budget, so they see very clearly what their money is being used for. And also in the narrative, as I said, have fun. It's really important. This is an example of a project which we did not approve from an organization here in Charlotte. And just to point out some things to avoid. Now, starting at the upper left, the photo, which I'm sure is a very lovely photo of this choral group, it's not effective in this setting, because it is really, that is the largest size photo that this organization is going to be able to post on Power to Give. So really, a group shot like that is not going to be effective. What would be more effective if you zoomed in on one or two of those singers and saw the expression on their faces. So identify a photo that is instantly recognizable and conveys a message. The title of this project is boring. I'm sorry, I love classical music. I'm a choral singer myself, but that title is boring. Come up with something unique and fun. This, even without reading the project narrative, it's too long. And it's, if you take the time to read it, you'll see that it's very pedantic. It's just not very interesting. It looks like somebody has copied and pasted out of a grant application. So these are things to try to avoid when you're writing proposals. Um, we'll have this, I won't spend a whole lot of time on this slide, but there are some great, if you do a Google search on crowdfunding, you can get some great advice on how to write the perfect pitch. In this case, it's really, it's 5 different steps. First is setting the context. Okay, in this case, I'm setting up an example. The Community School of the Arts has 102 private music lesson students, but more than 100 of them get receive need-based financial aid. So that's setting the context. The issue is that they've had more than 300 applications from eligible families. Okay, so it's more than a 1-year backlog. So that's the problem. The third step is, what solution are you proposing? And the solution is the financial aid program. We can make the benefits of arts education, improve self-esteem, better grades, again, changing lives, impacting the community. That's the story you want to tell. So that's the solution. The impact, you can see the school will provide music lessons for those, and again, getting specific. The school will provide 120 30-minute music lessons each week for children whose parents could not otherwise. Okay. And then finally, the ask is, how much do you need? And you break down the benefits, or the ask, into manageable and understandable components. In this case, a $10,000 gift would do the whole thing. Great. But most people aren't going to be able to do that. But if I gave $500, I'd support one student for a full semester. Or if I can only do $100, it would be for 4 weeks. And if I can only do $25, that's one lesson for one student a week. Now, that's great. I feel good about that. So that is using, breaking out the benefits and the impact in a very manageable level. Let me stop here and take another question. Tara Spill asks, where would the video be displayed? Good question, Tara. Let me see if I can find a video. If we go, if we go to Kentucky and Southern Indiana and take a look at a project, I'll show you where it shows up. And I'm going to have to see if I can find one that has a video. And if I can, I'll just tell you where it is. The video, there's a link on this bar. Once it fully loads, there's a link right here to the right of the photo, which then loads the video. If you click on the video, it would load in that same box. You can expand the video to full screen. So there's just it's a link-based connection there. So it is within the project narrative page. Good question. Appreciate that. So again, getting back to this slide. This is a really good template to try to follow when you're writing your narratives. The donor testimonial, again, this is someone who's very excited about Power to Give, using it in Charlotte, being able to see fresh new things all the time. Thanks ASC. This gets to the heart of what makes Power to Give so compelling. Again, we're going to run through these really fast, but when you write your benefits, the benefits listing, we want to make sure that you avoid providing any benefit that has cash value. So no tickets, no gala tickets. Make them provide benefits that are intangible, like notes from children who receive the service that you're doing, or a signed poster from the theater troupe. A personal call or invitation to something you're already doing, like a reception. We've had lots of people have behind the scenes receptions, which not only is a great benefit, but is an opportunity to invite these folks to become part of your family. So yeah, don't list things like t-shirts and coffee mugs. We want to discourage those kind of things that would affect the tax deductibility. Again, things like thank you notes, inviting them to behind the scenes experience, and then tying the benefit levels to what the things that you need in your project. Really important things to look at. So how do donors come? Well, the way it works is the site host in all these cities promotes the site in their community. They promote the brand of Power to Give and the fact that projects are there. They're changing all the time. They're going to work on email messaging, building awareness in the community, using Facebook and Twitter to promote the site. And from time to time, they may highlight and feature one or more projects, but it is not their job to promote your projects. If you post a project and leave it alone and don't do anything, I can guarantee you're not going to receive any funding. It is completely your responsibility to promote your projects. That shouldn't be intimidating, because we're going to give you a lot of different tools to do that. But basically, using email, using whatever means you have at your disposal to get the word out to your supporters, to promote it to current audience and segment for different messages. And when we say that, we mean, let's say you have something having to do with students. Well, send the message to parents that are in your audience. They're going to be more interested in those kinds of projects. We really encourage you to identify projects that your board can get excited about, that volunteers can kind of take the project and run, and to be an advocate for that project. And we don't want Power to Give to be kind of a standalone thing. This needs to be integrated into your marketing plans. If you have a large staff, we encourage you to sit down as a team and come up with 3 or 4 projects that you're excited about as a team. Take those projects to the board, get the board to identify the one they're most excited about, and then hold their feet to the fire, get the board to agree to, just like any solicitation, they're going to get out their Rolodex and they're going to send it to their friends and family. So it's not rocket science. It's just social media opportunities. So again, if you have an active social media platform, use Power to Give as a messaging tool. Also, Facebook, Twitter, newsletters. If you don't have these things, Power to Give is a great opportunity for you to get your feet wet in social media fundraising. Again, ambassadors are key. We want you to promote your project. We don't want you to promote Power to Give. Power to Give really should be just an extension of your site, your website, so that if someone goes to your website and you have Power to Give on that home page, they click on the Power to Give link, it's going to go right to your projects, and that's what we want to see. We want you to vary those approaches, and sometimes you can collaborate with other folks in your community and have a really compelling project that crosses disciplines and crosses interests. So, again, all sorts of things we've learned over the time. Again, this is something that we can provide in the slide, but this is a very simple marketing plan for a project. This particular project is the symphony here wanted to have fireworks at their 4th of July concert. So from left to right, starting at the left with the most general information, that is the project that they want to have, the project name. Second column is who are the 1 to 3 top groups that they want to engage: board members, young affiliate groups, musicians. The third column is who is going to be the specific ambassador for each one of those audiences. The fourth column is what is the call to action besides giving money? There may be some other things you want them to do. The fifth column is what is that message? Each of those constituents gets a different message. The sixth column is the strategy. What are the best ways to motivate them? Is it a personal appeal? Is it a challenge from a leader? All sorts of different opportunities there. And tactics is how you're going to connect. Is it going to be by email? Is it going to be from a stage announcement? Is it going to be flyers in newsletters? Is it going to be, general public? Whatever the strategy is, that's going to be a really critical component. But again, we want you to think through that. We have all sites have access to the electronic toolkit, and if you don't know that, don't have that, I'll try to give you some pointers. We can also, if you have trouble finding it, you can email me and I'll send you a copy. But basically, it's a very, very extensive toolkit of templates that you can use to get the word out, advice on how to write project narratives, all sorts of samples and things that you can use. So we've got the resources for you to be very effective. Again, repeating the statistic that 44% of donors to Power to Give had never given to the organizations that they're providing support for the project. So this is a really critical thing, and this has held up over time. A very exciting statistic. So you've gotten the contributions. Again, that starts the whole cultivation and management of your donors. Again, Power to Give does automatically notify the donors the minute they make a contribution, but after that, it's up to you to follow through. And again, this is I should have customized this, but the site host will issue the tax acknowledgement letter, and then you get blind copied on that information, and you can access the donor information at any time. Donor stewardship is hopefully germane to all, or second nature to all of us, but you can't thank them too much. Power to Give really gives you 3 opportunities to thank them. They thank them when they give, you thank them when the project is fully funded, and then you thank them when the project takes place. So again, 3 different great opportunities, and the fundraisers will tell you that it takes 3 to 4 touches before you should make the next ask. So you're setting yourself up for the next approach. You have their information. That's yours to manage and utilize as you see fit, but encourage them to give to other projects as they get posted. And we encourage you to, when you post a project, go ahead and think throughout the whole year. We have organizations that post multiple projects on Power to Give and set them up to be launched sequentially, so that they have one in the spring for summer programs, and then in the summer for the fall, and so on and so forth. You can queue those all up and have them ready to go, so you don't have to constantly be thinking about when you're going to have to create the next project. Again, this is all second nature, but again, use invitations and secure testimonials. We do have the feature on the system where donors can make testimonials about different projects. Again, can't overestimate the fact that this is a partnership. Your local site host arts organization is going to promote the site, but they're expecting you to promote the projects that you post. So the success is on in your responsibility. Again, hopefully providing your donors with an easy online experience. Okay, so resources. So to register, you go to Power to Give, you select your city and state, you click on the create and manage projects, and then you go ahead and register. So I think we've covered that. We do have a YouTube channel, which is if you just do a search on YouTube for Power to Give, it'll come up, but the URL is listed there. And most sites have a Power to Give support page. If your host site does not, you can always go to Arts and Science. If you just go to artsandscience.org and click on programs, you can go to our Power to Give page, and there's lots of resources, generic resources that you can use. But if you have trouble, let me know, and I'll be glad to point you in the right direction in terms of these resources. I'm going to leave this up for just a few minutes. This is a list of all of the contacts, so you can look through this list and see which one relates to you. This would be the individual to contact, the primary individual to contact in your community to ask any specific questions about how they're managing Power to Give. And this would get at the Jessica at some of the questions you had for the matching funds and other stories. Have a question from Caitlin. Is this on a rolling basis all year? Is there a limit to how many projects an organization can submit in a year? This is a rolling basis, and there are no limits. So you can post as many projects as you can get funded. Now, I think most sites, there may be a few exceptions, but most sites are one project at a time being posted. We tried some of our organizations here in Charlotte tried posting 2 to 3 projects, and they had less of a success rate because they had to worry about getting them all funded at the same time. We think a sequential strategy to implementing or posting projects is much more effective, especially if you've got smaller projects like $600,000 or $800,000 projects. You can get those funded quickly and then post the next one. So we encourage you to think about a sequential approach to that. We're getting to the end here, and we're a little past 3 o'clock. If there are any other questions, go ahead and post them now. I'm going to go ahead and click on this last screen. If you have any questions, you've got my email here, my phone numbers. I am happy to help you, but I would encourage you to work with your local site host administrator. They know your area better than I do, although I've enjoyed coming out to meet most of you. But if you can't reach them or you have other questions, please contact me. It's perry.mixter@artsandscience.org, and my phone numbers are there. I'm going to leave this other screen up just in case you didn't have a chance to finish transcribing. But I'll get this. I'll send you a follow-up email with this as an attachment, and we'll make sure you get this presentation so you have it. We'll also be posting this on YouTube, so if somebody in your office needs to see it, they can listen to this in real time. So if there's nothing else, there's one more question. And she says, "Oh, great. Well, Shanita, I'm glad it's great. It's been great to be with you this afternoon. Appreciate your time. I'll stay on the line just a few more minutes to see if any more questions pop up, but that'll conclude the presentation for today. We will be having additional webinars. Look for those announcements to come. We usually have one webinar a month on some topic, so stay tuned, and we'll be glad to provide that service to you. Again, we very much appreciate your time today, and hope you have a great Martin Luther King holiday. And thanks for your interest in Power to Give, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.